20,000 youth through speaking, coaching, and mentoring. He has inspired us for years. Welcome to EMIY Podcast with your host, Calvin T. Mann, the Encourager.
Well. Good evening, our listeners. I am your host, Calvin T. Mann. Today, we start the 3 weeks of our takeover. This is about women's safety, and my co-host here with us in the studio, the lovely Crystal Gunn.
It is the takeover. Thank you very much.
And missing from our team tonight is our sister in the process, Rochelle Morton. She'll be joining us in the next two episodes of this EMIY podcast, The Takeover, which is about women and women's safety. So today our topic is why women need a safety net. And we're going to break that down for you about what this safety net is that we're talking about. And ultimately, we are leading up to a very exciting event around women's safety at the end of this month, and that's August the 29th, Sunday, August the 29th. And so you'll be hearing more about that. You'll see our flyers go up and go out. Please share that information. The event itself is part of a strategy to help raise awareness around period poverty. Crystal can talk a little bit more about that as we go through today, but also to bring us together so that you can have a better understanding of what the force of the collective we can do. And so, Crystal, would you like to say anything to open us up today?
I'm excited to be here. I was shocked to find out Calvin wasn't going to be here at all. So this should be very interesting.
Yeah, indeed. So we are going to pose 3 questions throughout our topic today to follow up and get a deeper understanding. And so I want to start off with our first question, which is why women need a safety net. Why women need a safety net, and why do we feel unsafe? So I'll start by sharing the 3 points that I want to make sure that we leave with today under this question. First is our backstory, understanding our backstory, our meridian path. I'll explain that in a moment. We need and feel unsafe sometimes because it's learned behavior. We learn how to be unsafe. And then the third thing is that we have a loss of expectations, goals, and our outside stressors cause us to feel unsafe. Okay, and so those are the 3 things I want to lead with today on the question. The deeper question is why women are unsafe. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the backstory. So your backstory are the things that happen to you in your past history, which becomes then your meridian path. Your meridian path are those benchmarks in life that made you take a left turn or a right turn or move straight ahead. And so, on our journey, we tend to have taken the shortcuts. We have taken the detours. We have went through do not enter signs, right? So all of the things that happen in our backstory on our path are the things that help to guide who we are, what we've experienced, and how we see ourselves today. So that backstory component is really important in understanding why we feel unsafe. So we feel unsafe in a couple of different areas. One may be relationships. Another one might be in our environments. That might be our community. That might be our workplace. It might be, for different reasons, right? So if you've had a past history where you've had various experience around ageism, racism, sexism, gender, those kinds of events in your life can cause you to feel unsafe at work as well. And we have this whole new dynamic that the pandemic has introduced to us about going to work, not going to work, having a shot, not having a shot. You know, those kind of choices kind of make and shake up our workplace. And so there are lots of places where we feel unsafe. And so our goal throughout this 3-week period and at our culminating event on Sunday, August 29th, is to help women find that space of safety. And we're going to, Krista going to talk a little bit about that, what that looks like in our finances, and Rochelle is going to talk about what that looks like for our personal protection. I'm going to talk more about what that looks like for us spiritually and how that plays out in our lives every day. Okay, so I'm going to let Crystal kind of answer that question. Why are women unsafe?
The list goes on and on. It's interesting that you said the piece about the learned behavior and the backstory, because from one of the things that I'll be talking about on the 29th is that financial backstory, right? And how that plays out. And you hear a lot about ending generational curses and things of that nature. And we don't understand that we all have a relationship with money, with finance. So we have a financial relationship. And most people don't think, when you talked about that backstory that they have, that backstory is impacting your current financial situation as well. So it's you know, we can go and we can talk about we're unprotected and the difference in pay from women to men and all of those things, and it's a bombardment of things that women go through, deal with, that always makes us feel unsafe, right? From, you know, the bad relationship that they've had or we've had, or or you know, the job they get overlooked, it went to a man, or even in the job you talked about, the workplace, the things that we have to go through in the workplace, and that whole, even before you go out of the house every day, you got to go through this mental check, like, do I have on the right things, that no one's gonna approach me incorrectly and all of that, and it's overwhelming.
More than an ocean.
And then we wind up having to teach that same thing to our daughters, right? Mm-hmm. And so it becomes this continuous cycle of women needing that safety net and feeling unsafe.
Indeed. It's such a deeper issue. And I just want to I have to step in a little bit deeper for a moment. A little bit deeper for a moment, because I think that as we are growing, and part of our safety issues is our self-love, self-care issues as well.
Absolutely.
And sometimes we're not paying attention to the signs because we don't want to see them. I don't want to see the do not enter sign or do not allow entry sign. Ladies, if you hear what I'm saying, we make choices that put us in places and spaces where it may tell us, do not enter, this is not for you, and you're like,
kicking the door in.
Yes it is. You're telling me it's not, but really it is for me. I want what I see, I want what I like. And so we make decisions sometimes that put us in positions where we are unsafe.
Absolutely.
And so, and I think sometimes we do that often for attention. We do it to be validated. We do it to belong to certain groups. Mm-hmm. We do it for certain imagery that we see and that we want to repeat. Or we want to be like the icon that we're watching in the video or on the screen or on the Netflix. You know, that's the kind of person I want to be. I want to be strong, and I want to be attractive to someone, and I want to be desired, and I want to be... Our bottom line is that we have a need to belong. We have a need to want to be validated and accepted. It's a basic human need. So there's nothing wrong with that. And this is not about judgment in terms of right, wrong, good, or bad. This is about a level of understanding because we can only be something to a degree. Nobody is all this or all of that. We are a degree of the thing that we are displaying. So I'm a degree of unsafe, right? Because I don't feel confident. So that might be just the degree that I have of not being safe or unsafe, right? That's an important piece to keep in mind. I think one of the bigger challenges with our language is that we take it literally,
Right.
and we don't grow into these ideas, and we don't question or challenge those ideas or the way that they're brought to us. When I learned to shift my thinking to understanding that there are degrees of things, like I had a conversation today about procrastination, and I was sharing with the person I was talking to. I said, "You are not a procrastinator," and she looked at me like, "Well, everybody says I'm a procrastinator, and I think I'm a procrastinator." I said, "No. What it is that you have a process." And your process is activated when you have a trigger, when somebody says, "Oh, you're a terrible this." And that sets you off, and you off and running because you're going to prove to them that you're not. That's a trigger. That has nothing to do with being a procrastinator.
Right.
Your process is that what you need is outside feedback in order for you to move. Okay. That's not procrastination. And we have labeled and put labels on us and others without understanding or looking deeper into the meaning or deeper into the person for the reasons. We go very surface. Everybody uses the word procrastinator. So now I'm a procrastinator and you're a procrastinator. But it's a process. Everybody has their own unique process on how we go about things. And so it's the same thing with being safe or unsafe. So if we start to understand that there are degrees to this understanding, it'll allow us to do things a little bit different. So that do not enter sign, right? One way. Signs are very clear.
They're very clear.
It's only one way. You're traveling this way. You're supposed to go forward and not back.
Yeah, they're
Right.
very clear.
Very clear signs. And what we choose is, not forward, but maybe I'm moving forward, but I'm going to do it to the left. Or I'm going to do it to the right. And so we kind of get off course.
Why, though? Why do we do that? If we, and you see the post that, the sign was very clear and they, someone went that way anyway. But what is the need and what is the driving factor behind that because women we have this intuition and we have,
Yes.
That sensitivity and we can feel those things and we go against it. And the very thing that we didn't want to happen happens, right? And I'm not necessarily speaking about danger to someone, right? But it could be relationship, it could be financial, it could be spiritual. But why is it that we do it anyway? The sign says don't enter and we kick the door in. Like, why?
Because some people have to have the experience.
Yes.
You have to have the experience to know for yourself. And that's part of your genetic makeup often. So that's something, when you face those kinds of ideas, those kinds of choices, it's typically something that was embedded in your DNA, that was passed down from mom or dad, and they were ones that challenge authority, challenge direction, have to have their own path, forge your own path, even when it's against the grain,
Right.
when it's against your better judgment. That's part of a broken trust, and that's where it sometimes comes from. That broken trust, it also sometimes, again, comes through that genetics. Because my mother's mother did it, my mother's mother's mother did it, I'm doing it too. And it may happen without my knowledge that this is a condition or a mental connection that's been passed down through generations. And you talked earlier about generational curses and generational blessings, right? And we know it's a deeper story to that too. But I believe that those are some of the key reasons why we try to go on a one-way street the wrong way, or we try to turn different directions and not follow the signs that are there. The more we start to heal, the more we start to love and care for ourselves, the deeper our understanding, the deeper our ability to use that intrinsic barometer, that intuition, that sensitivity, to trust it, that it's guiding us the right way.
So it's a couple of things I want to ask you about, because we've had this conversation a gazillion times. But you talk about, and I'm going to give you just enough so that you know, because I will mess it up, but you talk about us righting the wrongs.
The spiritual economy.
Right.
The spiritual economy, yes. That is such, it's such a dynamic. When I was given that download, that insight, it just blew me away. I started writing that everywhere. Right. Because I wanted to have the reminder. I wanted to be able to share that information with our community. Like we have been given so many tools and so many resources. So I'm gonna get into what she means by this spiritual economy. So as we look back and we talk about generational curses and blessings, I don't particularly care for that language, but we use it because it's something common that we understand what we're talking about. So the things that are passed down, it seems, from generation to generation, which includes decision making, which includes outcomes, right? So the spiritual economy, there are three components of it. The first is that each generation is charged with a champion first. There is a champion. And any biblical story that you might know, and any superhero story you might know, and any family-oriented story you might know, it's always one person who is the determining factor that things change in your family. Right. Right. And so in each generation with the spiritual economy, in each generation, that person who breaks the cycle by fixing something that was broken, by righting something that was wronged, making it right, justifying it, paying it forward, making the thing that was done wrong to someone else, fixing it along the way of your journey. So fixing what was broken, righting what was wrong, and then completing those things that were incomplete. So maybe you're the first person in your family to graduate from college. Right. That is an example of completing something that was left incomplete. So if you're that person in your family, bravo. You have just changed the cycle and the dynamic for your family, for the generations that come after you. So the generations that came before you didn't get a chance to finish for whatever those reasons were. Your challenge as that champion for your generation is that you're going to fix it. You're going to finish it. You're going to set the record straight. And so that part, I think that's really important to our safety, why women in particular feel safety. Now, this is the same expectation that we have of our men. And I like to think of our relationship between men and women and this realm and this dynamic, as women typically are anchors. And when you're an anchor, that means that you're holding it all down, right? You're holding it down. It's not based on, it's not necessarily based on gender. It's based on what you're equipped to do. Right. And women are equipped to take a lot, and we take on a lot. Sometimes in the event where we have to be the anchor, we also have to lead. And so I think when you get used to anchoring and leading for so long, we know after 63 consecutive days, it becomes a lifestyle. It is a lifestyle. So a lot of us, the way that we look at ourselves and look at this dynamic, and then we want to have a partner. We want to have a partner to help relieve some of this burden, to help balance it out, to help make life worth living and fun in more ways than one. Right. And lots of really exciting and physical ways. Right. So that's really important. That's really important to us. But if you're not willing to let go of, you can still be the anchor. But if you have to lead and anchor, and you think that you're going to pull your mate, a man along like that, it's only going to last for so long.
But in a society that's saying that is demasculating the male, right? And where women are pushed to be, especially black women, this strong black woman, and it's a term I hate, and please don't use it on me, right? But all of that is, and again, a lot of it is by design, but how does that woman who has been accustomed to being the anchor and being the lead because she's been continuously, for whatever reason, let down, right? Abandoned, if you will, right? She doesn't have the tools we're operating in survival mode.
Absolutely.
Right? And we're operating in survival mode in every area of our lives, and we don't recognize it. We are connected spiritually to our ancestors. So when you talk about those things being passed down from generation to generation, it's those survival tactics and strategies, right? That they had to learn in order to survive throughout slavery, and it's been passed down. And where it shows up differently, those same strategies, right? We are still going through them. So what do you tell the woman who is, so accustomed to leading and being that anchor, right? Because she's become that independent woman, which is a survival strategy. But how do you tell them to take a step back? How is that? How are we reconditioned in order to be able to do that without feeling like now we're less than?
So what typically happens to us is that we have to reach critical mass. That this burden is this high, this wide, this long, this deep, and I can't do this the same way anymore. So the very, very first thing that you do is you breathe. Take a deep breath, drink some water.
Absolutely.
Drink some water. And let me share that water, the very thing that is cycling through your body, the toxic thoughts, the toxic feelings, the over-emotional way that we're bound, drink some water. Whenever you're that angry, drink some water. Release all of that stress and that tension. Cry. It purges you. If you're sweating and perspiring, good. That means all of that toxin is coming out of your body. You don't direct that toward anyone. You allow it to flow. Go pee. Go to the bathroom. Stop holding it. It's the truth. We will wait to the last minute. Stop holding it. Go to the bathroom. Release those toxins, because the longer you hold them, the more toxic your thoughts, the more toxic your actions, the more toxic your behavior. These are all connected. God gave us tremendous tools to be able to shift and grow. We are not meant to be burdened.
No, we're not. But
We're not meant to be burdened. You're not meant to carry it all. What you're meant to do is to anchor your circumstance, and always anchor. Sometimes you have to be able to shift. The start of that is taking that deep breath, take that step back, and then stop being tired of being sick and tired. Because once you get to that point where you're tired and sick and tired, everybody who you're anchoring is going to feel the wrath of that. So we need to make sure that we're taking a higher level of self-care. That is completely important to this process. You need to, and we need to, let me not just act like I'm speaking to somebody outside of myself.
Right.
We need to take more steps towards self-care. It starts with self-love. Do you love yourself enough to stop running into the same brick wall? Do you love yourself enough to make new choices, get new information, make new decisions? If it's not working for you, you need new tools. You need new information. You need to be a new circle of people. You need to have people who encourage you and not discourage you, who lift you up in those times where you feel like you're falling. And that is a good segue, I think, into
perfect.
our collective we.
Yes.
And the second question. So let me make sure I'm giving those steps again, though. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and if you are tired of going the same path and having the same outcome, First, stop, breathe, take a deep cleansing breath, catch your breath. Hear your heart beat because it's probably beating a mile a minute. You feel when you start feeling your heartbeat and you feel that in your hands and other places in your body and you can hear it, you're under too much stress.
Right.
And so we have to have some strategies to release that. So the first thing you want to do is breathe. Bring your heart rate down. Breathe. In and out, in your mouth, out your nose. Oh, I'm sorry. In your nose and out your mouth. Right? Inhale and exhale. You do a couple of rotations of that. Get yourself some water. Hydrate. Because when you're dehydrated, it also affects your balance, your chemical balance in your body. When you're dehydrated, you just react more than normal. Right? So we don't want to just react. We don't just want to react out of anger. We want to make sure that we are reacting in a positive and constructive way for us and those around us because we are the anchor, right? All right. So that's the next step. The next step is first take a deep breath, then drink some water, and then reassess where you are. Reassess who you're around, reassess what you're doing, reassess what's not working.
So let's stay on that one for a minute because I think that's huge, right? Some people have friends and friendships that they've had for years, right? Mm-hmm. And it's an exercise that I do in some of my workshops where I tell people, look through your phone, see who you communicate with the most. Who are the 5 people that you communicate with the most? And then the question becomes, do they know your dreams? Are they supporting your dreams? Are they uplifting, motivating, and encouraging you? And if your answer is no, the question then becomes, right, well, why do you spend so much time talking to them? And we have to then figure that out and weed that out. But sometimes, right, it's hard. Just like people stay in marriages because you've been in this relationship so long, you just continue to stay in this relationship so long that you should have ended years ago, right?
Yes.
The same thing with some friendships, but what are the, I don't know, the red flags, if you will, of, okay, I need some new people around me.
Yes.
Right? What is that? And we try to create that environment in the Amazing Woman Network, but what are those things that people should be looking at? I was talking to a young lady, and she purchased a house for an investment, right? And she was telling her friend who she'd been friends with for a very long time, and like her friend had nothing good to say, And I said, well, why would you tell her that? Like, why would you tell her? Because this has been her behavior for the last however many years. Your good news isn't good news for her, right? Mm-hmm. Why do you continue on with this friendship with someone who is not supporting, uplifting, and not happy for you in those good things that are happening in your life? So my question is, why do they stay, right? Why maintain those friendships? And then how do you recognize those friendships? And then how do you remove yourself from those people?
All tough questions. So I would say at first, once you're going to get, okay, there are 3 things. So you have things operating in a trinity. So for those of you who have things that operate in 3s.
Did I ask 3 questions?
Yes, you
did.
So, so the 3 things to look for. The first thing, there is a warning. There's a flag that goes up. The second thing is your awareness and you're reflecting on, wow, I know that every time I say something, she always says something negative, or she always tells me not to do that, or she always gives me bad advice, right? Mm-hmm. The third thing is that you have to take immediate action, because what follows that reflection is something that's going to be more devastating than the warning and the reflection.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So there is a devastation that's coming. Yep. There is a broken trust that's coming. There is a blow up that's coming. And sometimes you don't recover from those things with that person. And then they become this mortal enemy. And then you see women on the street yelling and fighting and you know, and they used to be best friends.
Absolutely.
So part of it is understanding that you do outgrow. You outgrow shoes. I don't care how long you've been a size 8. Your feet get wider and you got to go to an 8.5. And that's just for people with toy feet, right? So you have to be willing to release the shoes. Even if they're your favorite shoes, you got to let go of the baggage. You know, and we have someone in our organization that has purses to spare and actually gave me this beautiful purse. And she was like, oh, no, keep it. I got plenty. Okay, so we have a lot of baggage, right? We carry a lot of things. So
Figuratively and literally.
And literally.
We
right.
have a lot.
So you have to be able to make room for new things and new people and new experiences to come in. That means you have to stop holding on to the other things so hard. And so typically in those relationships, you are the one that brings the value in those relationships. So because you make the other person have value, because now you listen to their opinions, you listen to their thoughts, you bring them into your circle, you bring them into your personal space. So they are the ones that benefit from you.
Right.
And so, but you have to make the choice that I'm valuable too. My value is my time, because that's something that we can't get back. My value is the love that I shared with you and trusting you with me, with my secrets, with my missteps, with my understanding of me, my understanding of my journey. And so what typically happens, again, is that major third thing that happens, it's a major devastation. You see your business on Facebook. She's exposed your stuff on Facebook, and now you saw the signs.
Right.
You reflected on it and said it was time, but you didn't let it go.
You didn't let it go.
And so letting go means allowing people to do what they do in their space.
Yeah.
You don't have to keep inviting somebody back into your space with sharing your secrets if you know your secrets aren't safe.
And someone
Stop
once
doing
told
that.
me a long time ago, and and this was a guy, and we were having this similar type conversation, and I says, well, what do you do with those people that you have to release? He was like, oh, they became my drinking buddies. He said, I couldn't do business with them. He says, but, and he says, because every time I came around, they were doing the exact same thing. So I knew if I saw them once a year, they would be doing the exact same thing they were doing the last year. But we put this value on people and on things.
Yes.
Another woman in the organization, we were having a conversation about things and this why we buy so much stuff, right? Why we buy so much stuff. And she's a nurse that goes into homes, and we were talking about the stuff that she sees in these homes, and clothes and shoes and just stuff and things after things, and now this person is really ill, and those things don't matter. And those things, but what is that, what is our obsession with, someone's going shopping every single week, someone's online every other day doing shopping and buying more things that don't satisfy you, can't help you in a financial hardship. What is that obsession with that? Is that also searching for, I don't know, validation, safety, something that's going to make us feel secure or better?
That's absolutely what it is. It's absolutely what it is. It is the pacifier.
Right.
It is the thing that allows me to get through this moment. Not the work that I have to do to get through this moment. It's the thing, the shortcut.
And let's be real now. So self-work is hard.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let me
hard.
Let me look back. Let me step back. Let me take a step back. So the part that's hard is getting through the initial change.
True.
The initial 10 days of exercise, the initial 21 days of exercise, getting to that 63 days of doing the same thing new.
Just going down that path, though, for some to say, I recognize that I need this, and I'm going to open this door. That's hard for some people.
It's always hard to start.
Right.
But if you're not committed, you have to make a commitment. So if you have difficulties making commitments to yourself, to anybody else, then you're going to run into a harder task. It's going to feel like a task. It's going to feel hard and complicated. But once you get to the point where I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, I will eat nails for the next 3 weeks to have this thing off of my back.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we have to get to that level. And again, that's the degree, right? That's an extreme degree of a thing, of a choice or behavior, right? We can choose to make it difficult, or we can choose to do it with ease. I didn't say easy. I said do it with ease. So when we're doing it with ease, that means we're listening to that inner voice. That means we're following our intuition. That means we're actually looking at the signs and reading them. One way, do not enter.
Right.
Do not allow entry. So
return to sender.
Right. Return to sender. Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's not that it's so difficult. It's staying with it, it's sticking with it, and it's seeing the value in it. So we talk about the process of change, right? We got 5 steps. I'm going to go through this really quickly. The 5 steps of change: new information. New information. So if you're not getting new information from your friends in your environment, you're in the wrong space.
You're in the wrong place.
You need to expand it. They can stay right where they are, but you have to continue to move forward and do the pressing. And sometimes you might have to do that additional pressing alone, and then they see you making progress, and then they come along. And that's okay, too, because some of us are just the example, right? So new information is first. You have to appreciate the information that you've received. And when you appreciate something, that means that you're reflecting on it. That means that it has some value to you. And then the third thing you do is you apply the new information. If you know it takes 10 to 21 days to form a new habit, you know you got to get through to 21 days.
Right.
And then now if you want that thing, that new habit to become a lifestyle, you have to get to that benchmark over 63 days. This is one of the reasons why they recently changed the probationary period from 60 days to 90 days. Right, 63 days to become a lifestyle before the real you shows up.
Right.
And so now they're like, okay, so 63 days, we get this person, but is that really you?
Right.
Are we really going to have this executive level person in this space? So we're going to take you to 90 days. And then when you get to 90 days, we got some incentives for you.
Right.
It's the same thing for us. When you hit that 90-day mark, there are incentives for you because you have just gone to step number 4, which is transformation. You have become a new thing. You have become a new person. You have become higher in your thinking and in your resources. And now you're looking at yourself and you're looking at life completely different. And so the final step, though, is elevation. Elevation is when it becomes a part of your physical health. When you begin to elevate, you are resonating. You guys know what I'm talking about now, right? Elevating at 62 to 68 megahertz. That means you're above the standard base operation for human beings. That's just your base operation. You want to go and elevate higher than 68 megahertz. You want the peace, you want the prosperity, you want the joy, you want the love, you want all those things that law of attraction is supposed to have for you. Those things exist on this level, at this frequency. They don't exist at this frequency below 62 megahertz.
And through that process, I think it's important that, people understand that as you're going through this, and this is my cycle of amazing in getting to that next level of elevation, as you say, you have to be open to hearing and learning things that may be the direct opposite of what you grew up learning and hearing and what you were doing yesterday, right? And then through this process, because Lord knows, it is a process of self-discovery. And people are probably saying, but I know who I am. No, you don't, not today, because you're not the same person that you were 5 years ago. You're not, in some instances, you're not the same person that you were 5 days ago, right? And so going back through this process of discovery and releasing the things that no longer serve you. And it's people, ideas, habits, just all of these things that no longer serve you, that are keeping you from getting to the next level. And I can't stress this enough, right? So if something is wrong with you, with your health, you go see a doctor, right? If something is wrong with your car, you go to the mechanic. If you want your hair done, most people are going to, the beauty salon. I suggest in every area of your life that you have some sort of coach, right, to help you get through these things. If you don't know how to change the oil, or if you don't know how to rotate, I don't know, whatever you rotate on a car other than the tires. This is truly a women's program today.
Right.
If you don't know how to do that, you're going to someone else. So this thing of self-discovery and going through those levels and cycles and all of that, you need someone to help you through that. Financially, you need that strategist. Emotionally, you need that person. And it's not about someone prescribing you pills. It's that self-work, and you got to do it, and it's deep. But, where you can, get some help in doing that. And that's something that our community doesn't do enough of.
And I think we don't see the value when we do get it. So, Mr. Johnson down the street, that was like, "Come here, boy. Let me show you how to mow that lawn.
Absolutely.
Come here, boy."
Yep.
Or the girl, or the elder, the elder mother sitting on the porch like, "Girl, don't act like that.
Right.
Stop acting like a tomboy. Girl, pull your skirt down.
Pull your skirt down." Mm-hmm.
all of those things. That was a way that they were teaching us and correcting us, because they had seen some things. They've been somewhere.
Been through some
that
things.
we hadn't.
Right.
And so I think that's important, because we were talking about what a women's safety net does. Mm-hmm. And so these are some of the known safety nets, right? Support groups.
Yep.
Sister circles.
Yes.
Circle of friends.
Yes.
Women's groups and associations, right? Sororities. Mm-hmm. All of these are women's safety nets. Those are places that you tend to belong to, where you bring some value and they have some value, right? And the areas that we're trying to figure it out, we're trying to figure those things out together, and we're supported in a way that we feel safe. That's the purpose of those groups. And so that's an important space. That's an important space to have.
It's vital.
And so one of mine is Amazing Woman Network.
Absolutely.
When I have a need, I can go to my sisters and say, okay, and I can be very candid, mm-hmm. and I can say, I have this need. I need some help. Or I need some support, or I'm feeling a certain way. I need to be uplifted. I don't have to put that on Facebook.
Right.
I don't have to put it on social media to get that level of sympathy or empathy or support. Validation, mm-hmm. or support, because it's very personal to me. And because I'm going through that right now, I don't want it to come back and this is the image that somebody has of me. Okay, well, you're needy. You're always needy. You're always asking for this. You're always talking about this not going right. You're constructing an energetic image of yourself.
Right.
And sometimes the images that we construct on social media is nothing like who that person says that they are. So you get that person behind the scenes. They're doing all this positive things on the surface, and they're crumbling inside because they're trying to hold on to a facade, and they can't ask for help now because they've made it super duper public, and you're afraid to say, okay, I'm fragile. I feel weak. I'm not living up to my own expectations, but I want to reach that, but I need somebody to help me. That's where you have your safety net. You have to be in spaces where you're safe on that level. So we were joking earlier, and I was saying that women's safety net is like a bra. I say you have 2 cups. Both lift you up. Sometimes some people need more support, like the triple needs.
Somebody need more support than others.
Right. You got the double need, you got the single need, right? You got single letters in your need.
Like
you
what?
got double letters in your need. You got triple letter in your need. And then you got the larger size, right? You got the size E's, double F's, triple F's. Hey, it doesn't matter what size it is. You need to have that circle that supports it, that grows and is big enough to help uplift you.
And part of that circle is also them coming to you. So you talk about you going to the circle and to your sisters and saying, hey, this is my need, this is what I need. But also it's them coming back to you and saying, hey, your slip is hanging. Right?
Right.
Or being the support that they're not getting anywhere else, right? Because sometimes stepping out on new things and doing new things and trying new things can be difficult and challenging. And, you know, sometimes you don't get support, unfortunately, from the very people that live in the house with you. But then when you have this sister circle that says, you know what, I support you. I think you're amazing. Or as I always say, okay, well, what we doing?
Right.
So I think it's so important. And when you broke down what is it?
The collective we?
The collective we. That was just the most powerful thing that I'd ever heard. And as you were talking about it, and you gave it a title for me, that was the exact reasons that I started the Amazing Woman Network, so that women would not feel alone, right?
Yes.
Because sometimes you can have a bunch of friends and still feel alone. And it's so funny because so many of the women say, yeah, well, I'm not inviting such and such.
Right.
It's that space for them. But that is what it was designed to be, to uplift, to support, to be that, you know.
That bra. To triple support.
Right. To be that bra. Right. So, yeah. So
that brings us to the third question. Where do we start the process to get safe? And so I say strap on your bra. Find your circle. Find your circle. And sometimes, you know, you start where you start. You have to know you first. What do you need? Do you need to be around people who can make you laugh, make you feel good about yourself, encourage you to step out? Okay, go for that talent show. Go for that. What is it? The Voice. Go for it. We got you. Run for office. We got you.
Yeah.
You know, you need that circle of people. You need that support.
But show up as your authentic self.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to show up as your authentic self so that we know who we're actually supporting and who we're actually, you know, going out on this limb and coming around and rallying around. You have to you have to show up as your authentic self. And for some, they have to find their authentic selves.
And that's okay.
Right, absolutely.
Listen, this is the beauty of living.
Right.
Today is today. Tomorrow, you are on reset.
Every day.
Reset. That means tomorrow you have a new opportunity. If you're blessed with tomorrow, and tomorrow is a blessing. If you are blessed to wake up tomorrow, and we've seen it, a lot of us don't make it or haven't made it until tomorrow. And so if they were speaking from the other side, they would say, get up, do something different. You can live your life better and differently than I did to end up where I am.
Right.
And so our elders, our ancestors, all of them are saying that to us constantly. So whatever yesterday was for you, guess what? Yesterday is gone. It's past and gone. Today, as we're winding up this day, today is almost over. But it gives you enough time at the end of your day to say, tomorrow, I'm going to start this. Tomorrow, I'm going to take that deep breath that they talked about. I'm going to drink more water that they talked about. I'm going to take a better look at my choices, and I'm going to pay attention to the signs, not just the physical signs to say don't enter and do not allow entry, ladies. When you see the signs, Don't allow entry because you're starting a whole nother dynamic. Because you just have a need at that moment.
Right.
We allow entry into all parts of us. Our hearts, our vaginas, our souls, our spirits. We allow ourselves to be intertwined when we know that it was not meant for us to be that way or connect that way. And then there are consequences and circumstances that come behind that entry, whatever point of entry.
So I'm a firm believer in everything that happens is supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And so it's easy to say, right? Don't go the wrong way down that one-way street. Don't allow entry. Don't allow. But there's the lesson in it when you've had the signs and you do it anyway. Mm-hmm. There's the lesson. And we know if you keep repeating the same lesson, or that you will keep repeating the same lesson until you've learned the lesson, right? So I guess the question becomes, to the individual, when do you learn the lesson?
When you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. When enough is enough, and I've had, what did Popeye say? I've had all I can stand, and I can't stand no more. Right. You have to know what your limits are, but responding to it effectively.
Right.
And responding to it in a way that's healthy for you and healthy for those who you anchor, because we can't forget that we often anchor so many others, not just our children, our mates, our families, our parents, our brothers. We are anchors for so many, but we're also taking and carrying so much.
So I know we're running out of time. So can we talk about, just for a minute, the event that we're doing on August 29th?
August 29th.
Which is a Sunday.
It is a Sunday.
At 1 o'clock.
From 1 to 3.
From
correct?
1 to 3. And it is, tell me the name. Yes, I'm a presenter, but
Are you talking about your segment?
No, the whole thing. Oh, I had
the Women's Safety Net.
So the Women's Safety Net workshop, personal, financial, and spiritual.
Yes.
This is going to be awesome, right?
Yes.
What's the cost?
The cost is your donation of sanitary napkins, unopened sanitary napkins, and our effort to help decrease and eliminate period poverty.
Right.
And what does that mean, Crystal?
So, unfortunately, there are too many women in the world, right, that don't have the simple needs satisfied. Sanitary supplies. Nope, I don't. That's not me.
Hello, this is T-Mobile.
Too many women and young girls don't have the required sanitary supplies. They can't afford them. It's, mom and dad have to make a choice between sanitary supplies and paying a bill, and paying a bill wins. And this is something that should not be. So the Amazing Woman Network has something called the Red Dot Program, or Red Dot Bags, where we wrap individual bags filled with sanitary supplies and give to schools, shower programs, homeless shelters, again, in our effort to end period poverty. So you come out to the event. It doesn't cost you money. We ask that you bring unused and unopened sanitary napkins or panty liners, and no tampons, because homeless shelters won't take tampons. And so that's our way of giving back, but also wanting to share this incredible information with women, and what better way to serve two purposes, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
How do we register?
There is a registration link that will be available starting tomorrow on yourinspiredjourney.com. And I give thanks to Calvin T. Mann, who's one of our gracious sponsors for the event, and Good Fathers Only. This is their way of reaching back and making sure that women are supported in ways that make them better women for the men. How about that? So that's really important. It's really important that we're really working together, and that that while this is the Emmy podcast, that Emmy's ultimate goal is the restoration of family. And our goal is to restore women so that we be better mates and better anchors in that household into those families. There's a lot of work to be done. There's a huge need for us to elevate beyond some of the things and experiences that we're having today. There are tools, there are processes. I am happy to help you to find those tools. Again, you can visit my website at yourinspiredjourney.com. I am personal change coach Heather Hedharu. I'm in the studio with my sister, friend, and ultimate guide here, Crystal Gunn, our financial strategist, our expert financial strategist. Looking forward to introducing to you Rochelle Morton, who is our personal safety strategist, and us coming together at the end of this month to bring some real new information and tools for this journey of women and our safety. We are your safety net. That safety net is your network.
Absolutely.
And also your net worth. Okay? So join us, visit us, reach out to us. You can find us all on social media. Heather Hedharu, personal change coach.
Crystal Gunn.
And our sister Rochelle Morton, who will be joining us. Again, special thanks to Calvin Elboog for engineering and producing us today and enduring all of the estrogen
in the room.
So we thank you. And we thank you, Miles, for out there for making this all possible for all of us. So have a great day, everybody. We look forward to seeing you next Monday.
Absolutely.